Good morning, Raymond. Good morning, Enimwa.
Good morning.
And how are we doing this morning?
Oh, by God's grace, I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Yes.
I could see you jamming. You in a victory mood
We were
this
enjoying
morning.
the choir.
You like saying things that nobody has evidence to, but yeah, by God's grace,
We do have
Do
evidence.
you know the number
Raymond.
of people whose phones were out recording whilst you were doing that thing?
And
Do you want to still say that we have evidence? We don't have evidence.
of what?
Do you? I'm just asking.
Oh,
That
yeah.
Do you know the
I was
phones that were
exercising.
out? So
But the
now
song
it
is
wasn't
good, though.
dance; it was exercise.
The choir that you are
Don't-
purporting to be a member of, the song is very, very wonderful.
You see,
It is. It's
you
an
see,
amazing
Raymond.
song.
At first, I was a member of the choir. Listeners, at first, I was a member of the choir.
Now
But the
you are-
choir, he wasn't trusting the choir's credentials. Now he's heard a good song. Now I am purporting to be a member of the choir.
Yeah. So it's
Oh,
Your
but
motives have been
it's
exposed.
only
Raymond
fools who
Appa.
don't change their mind, please.
Let me just say that I like you a lot. I just like you a lot. All right, let's start with the finder this morning.
Yes, and it's reporting this morning 13.2% rise in port revenue in first half of 2018. This is partly due to the single window system. And one thing you should note on the front page of the finder, new Ameri deal inconclusive. This is according to Deputy Information Minister Kojo Opon Nkrumah, and Ghana is showing signs of debilitating conflict. Professor Boche is the one making that comment on the front page. Injunction suit to stop EC appointment of new EC boss dismissed is the last story on the front page of the finder.
on the front page of the Chronicle. Fear delegates indeed. They took 54,000 Ghana cedis and ditched me. This is from a failed DCE nominee who tells the story. GNAT endorses double tracking system, drones to fight fall army webs, and the BNI bus 6 stowaways in Takoradi.
Now, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning, killing of 7 suspected robbers. Government probes police shooting, 5-member committee giving 1 month to present report, and luxury vehicles tax finally takes off. And that's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times too.
The Daily Graphic, suspend SHS double intake. This is from the Education Coalition. Ghana faces housing glut despite deficit, and cost of borrowing drops. Stanbic base rates down from 24% to 16%.
Now, the Herald is reporting this morning that Dark Clouds hangover $500 million ECG concession, and also Bawumia is unhappy with ECOWAS members over misuse of Ghana's roads. And the very last story you should be interested in is the investigate Akwatia Diamond contract. Indigenes charge at Siao Japan's company, and Siao Japan is the CEO of Jospon Group of companies, right? Okay,
Yeah, just one group.
yeah, Jospon Group,
Yeah.
not of companies.
Gold Street business, container homes, condos to reduce housing deficits, Works and Housing Minister. Investments worth $80 million required. Ghana's banks in the throes of transformation, recapitalization, digital banking, corporate governance, and new port duty regulation to curb smuggling.
Before I go to that one, when they say it's condominium, what does it mean?
I intentionally shortened it to condos.
Because the thing is confusing. The thing is condominium.
Condominium.
Yes, and it's a place people live. I don't understand.
It's a
It's a-
con
it's
in
a-
which we have dominion.
Your own is powerful.
Oh, yes. It
It is
but
God-
a condominium is a building.
If I left it to somebody else, it would have been problematic. But yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
No, but
Don't
for
start what you
the...
can't
The
finish.
Daily Guide is reporting this morning. MPs blackmail to endorse Mahama. And that's on the front page. You know the pictures there? Joseph Biboba Nabu and Clement Apak. And apparently, Clement Apak is the one going around taking the signatures together with John Jinapo. But Mr. Nabu says he thought it was attendance. And he penned the signature there. Apparently, it's endorsement for a candidate. And he too, everybody knows that it's for Agbaba Ben. So he doesn't want to cause any problem.
Do you
Anyway.
remember Joseph V. Banabu?
Yes, he's the one that
The
gave it to
statement about women.
Yes. That's where you want to take that thing from.
No, but he
Please continue.
made a
I
statement.
thought you were talking about his earlier comments on former President Mahama anyway.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's also
he said
Joseph V.
that Mahama
Banabu.
is-
When Mr. Mahama was in power.
Yeah.
Man, he's always had Vimo. Anyway.
The Daily Statesman, Mahama clings to a modest 33%. Supreme Court throws out EC boss petitioners, 50 companies under one district, one factory to start operations this year. That's according to Senior Minister Osafo.
That story is also on the front page of the Ghanaian Observer, but there's another story you should be interested in, and this is entertainment. Do you know that Exclusive Events Ghana, they are the ones who organize Miss Ghana?
Yes.
They have welcomed the resignation of Miss Ghana 2017. they say that, oh, it's not everybody that can do everything right. So it's okay, you stay.
Yeah, but she was also on Twitter tweeting about her experiences and her upsets with the organization as well.
And 50 companies under 1D, 1F to start operation by end of 2018.
Amen.
Raymond, what does this bring the number to?
Okay, so this is number 17.
Okay, thank
Promises on 1D, 1F. Extensions, corner giving,
with
changing dates, specific dates.
Yeah.
In fact, the biggest one was last year, so say by the end of 2017, 50 will be delivered. But now the 50 have been brought forward to 2018. Hopefully, we will have them operating. Anyway.
That today, SC throws out injunction against president from nominating EC chair will make police better by using technology, and parents throw out girl 15 for having too much sex.
Oh. Now, the New Crusading Guide is reporting this morning when there's prayers. Paperless pot rakes in 5.8 billion in 6 months. And Hassan Yarga is hot as Kwabena Traditional Authority and the East Assembly is chasing him over illegal land grabbing. Doom prophecies are retarding national progress. Pastor has recommended strict regulation and activities of Ghanaian prophets. And those are the stories on the front page of the New Crusading Guide.
And finally, from me, the Daily Heritage, Agona East MP empowers new executives for election 2020, regulates public prophecies on death. That's from Reverend Isaac Opoku, who's telling the Christian Council and the Chief Imam that the prophecies on death are too many. Ken Anas battle rages as lawmaker threatens to boycott court proceedings. Osei Ameya's comeback will spell doom for NPP. Ghana is doing well in the fight against human rights, that's according to the United Nations.
Now, Raymond, the last time I heard Mr. John Jinapon, Member of Parliament for Yape Kuso, he was saying that the minority would be speaking conclusively on the Ameri deal today. But what has government been saying?
A press conference has been set up by the government also, who's been talking about other things. It was a Sino Hydro deal that the Deputy Minister of Information, Kojo Oponkruma, addressed yesterday. But people will not let Ameri be. They brought in that question, and he's been answering and resolving the question. He did. He also spoke on Asempa. That's why I heard him give this information that the deal is not conclusive yet. According to him, the deal is also going to go before the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, and the Parliament is supposed to do a lot of work on that. You know that the House last week suspended considerations of the deal until the Energy Minister delivers 4 critical documents, including a value for money audit on the new deal. So he says all of these things have to be done, concluded, before we can say we have an Ameri deal on our hands. You know that under the new arrangement, a company, Mytilenius International Trading Company, that company is also owned by the ones that are currently operating, who put together the machine, Metka. Actually, yes, will take over the management of Ameri power plants for 15 years. Apart from the minority, other civil society groups like ASEP are questioning this particular deal. Government says we are getting some 400 million savings in that area. The people say, no. You are extending what used to be $510 million to 1.3 billion, and that's no saving at all. This is a claim for minority and both the Africa Center for Energy Policy too. Government has dismissed that particular claim, saying that it does not take into consideration due and proper understanding of the processes that comes into play when you deal with energy plants of this sort. One of the other reasons that government is also giving for letting go off from Ameri to the other group is that government really is not interested as a policy in managing thermal plants. So instead of giving it to VRA or all the other institutions to do that work, we want an independent institution to be the ones in charge of it.
Okay.
That's why we are giving it away like that. And Kojo Oponkruma is saying that the deal is going through a process of reviewing, a process that has to go through and be completed before anybody can say that we have a deal finally done. He says it should innovate and amend the whole system. And this has been tabled before one of the arms of Parliament. They are hoping the Parliament will do their job the way it ought to be done, so that nothing prevents them from doing an appropriate job, which will save the state money, which will make sure that we have energy sufficiency, and government policy will be maintained in this case.
Very interesting developments coming out of that. We'll be keeping our eye on that story.
But you know that
the
concern really is that, the statement that came from the Flagstaff House, the executive secretary to the president signed that particular statement, which sought to claim that the deal has been approved by cabinet and the presidency. So the inconclusive part makes it interesting in this case.
Makes it inconclusive.
It makes it inconclusive.
Yeah.
So the best you can understand is that government says yes, Parliament is saying, the executive says yes, the parliament is now having to go through a process and also approve on their part. We hope that they will represent the people of this republic.
Indeed.
Which they do, actually.
Really?
Technically. They are representatives. Anyway.
Okay, so Dr. Osafo Maakfor has been speaking yesterday, and this has brought up a lot of questions because he was talking about the one district, one factory. And he is saying that the government will not be able to implement this project in all 254 districts during the first term of President Akufo-Addo's government. The reason that he gave for this is due to the fact that some districts have not filed any applications stating their preferred factories. He's saying that the districts that would benefit are those who have filed applications indicating their preferred factories. Then he goes on to say that the 1D1F initiative is actually private sector led, and so it will kind of depend on that sector of things. And he's saying that because it's private sector led, he needs the districts to apply and state their preferred factory so that, the government can, as it were, sort of facilitate or bring together, demand and supply or something in that region. So he says that the government has received 781 expressions of interest, 632 have been reviewed, and 332 are currently being processed for financial support. He says 15 projects have been approved for implementation, and he expects that by the end of the year, which is really 4 months, 50 of those which have been apprised will be in production. Okay. According to him, the government has released 465 million Ghana cedis for the commencement of these projects. Some of the banks that have agreed to give money are UBA, ADB, Exxon Bank, UMB. So there's a bit of a contradiction with that story.
Yeah, Raymond, take us to the details of that. But let me just say that was said at the Stanbic Bank Graphic Business business breakfast meeting yesterday. We carried it live here on the show. Raymond, so what exactly is this contradiction we keep hearing about?
Okay, so first and foremost, the concern here is that, one, proud to you putting together the policy, you told us that you're 216. Indeed, the government mapped out 300 different projects and put out a chart. That showed that virtually every district will have, some of them will even have more than the factories that are being proposed in this case. The inclination now is that, we may not be able to get all 216 before the tenure of the NPP ends in the first term. That is where the problem, because this one was promised for just the period of the Akufo-Addo government. The second inclination is also to say that if the district do not ask for it, or if the people in the private sector do not come forward, we cannot force them to do it.
How is that different from what was said earlier?
What was said earlier is that we've mapped out, we need the support we are collaborating with the private sector in this case. So we know where we are going to put the factory. If they don't come forward, you still go ahead. So that's where the difference is in this case. But it looks like now if they don't come forward, we may have to abandon, let's say, the district that Mankasim belongs to, their own, because no private sector is interested in investing in any project in that area. And that's where the difficulty really is.
So those are the two positions that we have seen being canvassed by government.
Yes.
We'll do some analysis of this on the show, later on the show. That's what we're actually beginning with. And we'll try and get a better understanding of what exactly was said, what is said now, and what it means for us as Ghanaians who are expecting the employments that this would foster. But Raymond, let's move on.
Now, let's move on to luxury vehicles. I'm still staying in government operations. Now, this is the new month. Today is first, though. And they say happy new month when there's a new month, right?
Yeah.
But
and August is like the best month of the year. Just say.
I want to believe the only reason will be that you are born there.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Happy birthday in advance anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
If you want to announce your birthday,
I want to say it now before I forget.
Now, the implementation of the luxury vehicles levy begins today. And the GRA issued a couple of days ago the clear-cut directive on how it's going to be done. So let's be clear. The levy is passed by Parliament already and requires vehicles with engine capacity of 2950 cubic centimeters and more to pay annual levies. So the clarifications are pretty simple. If you are between 2950 and 3549, you have to pay 1,000. From 3550 to 4049, you are paying 1,500. And everyone whose car is above 4049 is actually paying 2,000. Two forms. If you are here to clear your car, you pay it at the port. If you go every year to do that thing that you people, the rich people, have been doing.
Renewal of roadworthy certificates.
Yes, renewal.
Well, it's only rich people who renew. Oh, wait,
yes, who have cars and they renew. It's not so. Anyway, so if you are going to do it, you pay the amount every single year. So first time at the pot, then every year you are paying again at the what they call it, the places that are required. The DVLA. So it will be added to the roadworthy whatever clarification that they put at the place. And yes, and this was put in because government needed some revenue. And that it was believed that we cannot tax every person in the country. We need to select the extreme rich who are in the luxurious car industry to be able to tax them. The concern has been that, for example, somebody who uses a Benz, one of the Benz in the criteria, which has lower engine capacity.
Yes.
But if the person is using a 4-wheel drive, let's say an Hyundai 4-wheel drive, and has an engine capacity which is big enough, the difference is in determining what is luxury car will be very operational and not technical.
Yes.
Remember, I put this question to Dr. Anthony Akotose on this platform the day after the media budget review, and he was mentioning that another thing that was taken into consideration, I should say, is the effect on the environment. So that if a car has a bigger engine, it burns more fossil fuel, the effect on the environment is bigger. But then the implication, which I mentioned at the time, was that newer cars are more energy efficient and are kinder to the environment, if I can use that expression. And he said, well, yeah, what you're saying is true, but that's the consideration we made, that we are looking at the cars in the system now and not exactly going forward. And it became a bit inconclusive on that point.
And we have an infographic out there at what you look out for if you think your car may be included or excluded. First, commercial vehicles are not in that group. The haulage trucks are also not in that group. So we are insulating the poor from having the effect on the luxurious vehicles that the luxurious people in this country use anyway.
There are also some companies which will be exempted from paying, or some individuals will be exempted from paying this tax. So that's just by the way. But anymore, shall we?
Okay, so there's a new Rent Act apparently that is going to be put before the floor to address high house rental costs. And I'm very interested in this because I have just painfully, gut-wrenchingly paid 2 years, which apparently is illegal. Just in case you didn't know.
You should be caught.
Well, but that's the argument with the thing. So according to the law, the maximum is 6 months. Yeah. But it's funny because your landlady or landlord will tell you that, listen, I'm collecting 2 years. If you can't pay, go. It's not by force.
But the problem is that you may only be able to demand and insist on the 6 months when you are in residence.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you cannot. But they will not give you the key until,
because it's not compulsory that I have to give you my place to stay.
True.
So
it's really not. So I guess when you are renewing, then you try and do that. But anyway.
An interesting factoid about this: when Madame Loretta Lamte was being removed from the Shraj leadership, this was one of the bases that she had paid 2 years rent advance. This was one of the bases that was pushed strongly by the petitioners at the time. So I guess you are there. You never know about the law until it catches you.
It catches you. So anyway, Mr. Chance was saying that when this new rent bill is passed into law, it would effectively address without compromise the problems that confront tenants and landlords. So I'm watching this space. I'm very excited about it. I really hope that something comes of it because it's quite serious.
And please, rent control people. Anymore is here. She said she's a defaulter on the 2 year.
Charlie, are you trying to make me homeless this morning or something?
All right, let's move on. And MyChannelOnline.com is where we'll begin the online news review. But before I bring you the details of what is on that website, the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank. In your best interest, Goyle Good Energy. Download the Safe Doctor app now from the Google Play. Safe Doctor, the future of better medical care. Now, Ghana's #1 indigenous oil marketing company, Goyle, gives you innovation that takes you further. The new Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. These expertly crafted lubricants work excellently with all modern petrol and diesel engines, provide superior cleaning and protection, reduces fuel consumption, prolongs oil change intervals, and enhanced engine performance. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Engineering innovation for your vehicle has arrived and is available at all the over 330 Goyle filling stations. Goyle Good Energy. Now is the time to own a Zenith MasterCard. Apply for a Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card from any Zenith Bank branch nationwide and enjoy 2 things. 1, no issuance fee and a chance to receive a gift of a prepaid card with a preloaded amount of the CD equivalent of $50. Isn't this exciting? Don't be left out. Sign up for your Zenith MasterCard debit or prepaid card today. Offer is available to account and non-account holders. Terms and conditions apply. Zenith Bank, in your best interest. MyJoyOnline.com says the number of factories under 1D1F is unrealistic, will reduce further. This is a reaction to Mr. Osafo Mafo's statement by the General Agriculture Workers Union, specifically Edward Kariwe, the General Secretary there. Mahama lauds zeal of Zimbabweans as they elect a new former President John Mahama, and chairman of the Commonwealth Elections Observer Mission in Zimbabwe, speaking there. Raymond, what was that tweet he put out yesterday?
Finally,
It's about to go.
The vote has ended.
yeah.
So why did he say finally? That's what I'm wondering.
But what was your problem?
Maybe he was tired. Maybe the thing took really, because it started on Monday.
It could also be that this is first time there's been a different election from what Comrade Mugabe was in charge of the country. So that's where the difference really
Yes,
could
so he
be.
was happy for the Zimbabweans. That could also be a reason.
Okay, let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with that. Now, South Africa is amending its constitution to allow land expropriation. Land expropriation will be done by the South Africans. That's coming from a recorded address by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So that's it for the news and online review. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Enimwa.
You're welcome.
Remember, today we are putting the banking sector on spotlight. We'll also be trying to dissect the statements made by Mr. Yao Osafo Mafo yesterday, and we'll continue with our housing conversation by talking to engineers and finding out how they can help us save money when building houses. Stay with us on the Super Morning Show. The BBC News is up next.